You need some defense, or you can't find a good defense on your waiver wire to help you win your championship or playoff game this week. Here's a few defenses I have as sleepers that can help. The first one's the Carolina Panthers. So the Panthers, they played decent last week versus a top offense like the Green Bay Packers. But in fantasy, they didn't do much. They only had going 5 sacks and 24 points allowed. So they had only 6 or 7 fantasy points was Carolina. But this week they versed the Washington football team. They give up the 12th most fantasy points to defenses. And I think Carolina, they can make a few plays in this game. Alex Smith, we don't know if he's going to play for sure in this one. He's going to have the questionable task on him. So if Dwayne Haskins is starting, I think this Panther defense can make a few plays and have a big fantasy day. The second sleeper defense this week is the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals last week with a shocking victory over the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they had a decent ball game in fantasy-wise as well, only giving up 17 points, a sack and and 2 fumble recoveries. And this week they got a decent matchup versus the Houston Texans that do turn the ball over a little. And this game I could see Cincinnati get to Deshaun Watson. Watson's a quarterback who's great and all, but sometimes he holds on to the ball too much, and that's where some trouble happens, either with sacks or fumbling the ball. So I think Cincinnati, after that big victory last week, they're going to go indoors also. They're going to be a little quicker on the turf over there. And I think Cincinnati's defense could have a decent sleeper day. And the third and final defense I have as a sleeper this week's the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys defense still is bad, but the last few weeks, at least they're creating some turnovers. And last week versus San Francisco, they did give up 33 points, but they had 2 sacks, 2 windows, 2 fumble recoveries, and a return touchdown. So that was still a pretty big ball game for Cowboys in that. And then in week 14 versus Cincy, 2 sacks, 3 fumble recoveries, and a touchdown. And this week they versus Philly. Philly gives up the most fantasy points, like I said, to defenses. And Dallas, maybe they could get a couple turnovers and possibly find the end zone on defensive special teams, even though I think this will be a high-scoring game. So that's a few defenses I have as sleepers here heading into Week 16.